Hi everyone. So I haven't been uploading much because I've been on vacation and I'm pretending that I am in the mental capacity to record a video that might as well just take an hour right now. So if I sound dull, I'm not sick for once. For once, I'm not sick. I'm just very tired and I think someone's. Oh, I thought some ghost took my trash can. I was really concerned. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that. So in this video, basically, gonna see when I would have made a prediction if Joe Biden is leading the race, because I didn't actually make a prediction for when Biden was in the race. When like all this stuff was happening, I did honestly think Joe Biden he would lose the popular vote but win the electoral college. Which okay, going back now, that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but that's what I thought then. And in 2020, obviously didn't have the channel, but somehow my 2020 prediction was a little bit more accurate than 2024. Well, my only things I got wrong are the Pennsylvania and Arizona going red, which they didn't. But I was close. I was close on that. I had Georgia going blue. I had Maine second district going blue. I had North Carolina and Florida going red. So yeah, that's not about 2020 because today is about 2024. So if we take a look at exit polls results, so we take a look at this. This is Harris versus Trump. So I know a lot of people say that if Biden ran, it could have been a 400 vote electoral college win at the least. This is why that probably wouldn't have happened. So, best case scenario for Republicans, they'll win New Mexico, they'll win Virginia, they'll get New Jersey, they'll get New Hampshire, they'll get Minnesota. And so that puts them at 358, right? So then we say, now this is a stretch. They win New York's, they win New York, they win this they win the second district of Maine. And then now to get a little tricky, they win Illinois. That gets them to 406, right? But Illinois, that was a 10-point margin. And honestly speaking, even if Biden stayed in the race, we're not going to see 10-point shifts in Illinois. We're not going to see a 16-point shift in Illinois. We're not going to see a 20-point shift in New York. We're not going to see 10-point shifts in Virginia. We're not going to see that. So I do think even if Biden stayed in the race, Trump would still, he'd probably still win, but by less. So when we talk about minority votes too, we take a look. When we go into this, I think Biden will do slightly worse with Hispanics, but only slightly worse. But that's just because I think turnout will be down. I don't think marginally he'll do worse, but since the turnout will be dramatically more down. Because if we take a look at turnout in 2020, for we see that okay. So turnout was only down about 3% from 2020. And we take a look at 2020, turnout was up 7 points in 2020. So we saw not much of a shift down. In 2020, this was peak COVID, peak everything. I think if Biden was on the ticket, we would see Hillary Clinton versus Trump numbers in terms of um in terms of turnout. So I think that's where Democrats would lose a bunch of support. And if we take a look at demographics and stuff like that, I think Biden would do even worse with black voters than he's already doing. Because Kamala Harris, obviously she was a woman of color. I do think she appealed more to black women than Biden definitely would have. Black men, black women, they all shifted towards Harris. I think if Biden was on the ticket, I think Trump could get close to 20% of the black vote, which is unheard of for a Republican to get 20% of the black vote. I do think that could happen. Latinos, I think the Latino vote, I think that stays the same, but the turnout drops to less than 9%. Asian vote, similar-ish story. Trump did decent enough with Asian votes, and he actually won the native vote and other racial groups. So in total, decent amount. And for voters made more of the electorate now than they did in 2020. So 2020, white voters they made slightly less. I do think Trump does a little bit worse with white voters. I especially think he's going to do worse with New England Catholics, especially like Pennsylvania, the Scranton area. I think Biden will do better in New Jersey, probably a bit better in New England because it's Catholic white voters. Biden has a decent-ish appeal to that overall. I do think the age situation is still going to have an impact, obviously, but we're not going to, probably not going to see New Jersey go red in this situation. And so. Here we have a demographic spinometer from the Cook Political Report. So this is set to 2020. So we're gonna have to fix this and make it 2024. So we take a look at white non-college graduates. They made up, I have to find this. White college graduates made, okay, this is one of the first questions exit polls I think asked. Okay. So white voters made 71% of the ballot, and we take a look. I'm gonna, um, college. Education by gender among, no, it's not what I need either. White voters with college degrees. So white voters with college degrees made 33% of the electorate. So we're gonna have to adjust this, which means turnout did fall. But actually, that's not even the right one. White college voters with college degrees went up actually. They actually made more of the population. Hang on. Yeah, white voters with college degrees made about 33%. So 88%, I guess. Oh wow. And then white, no college degrees, 66%. Trump won these by 66%, which is huge reason why he won. With no degrees, it made 38% of the vote. So this can go down just a little bit. What? Guys, Jimmy Carter passed away. Hello? Ario just texted me. You know what? Right after this, I'm gonna make a Jimmy Carter tribute. Oh my God, guys. Guys, I'm gonna look this up. Buddy. Guys. 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 Um, I guess we're not getting a Jake Paul Jimmy Carter fight. I'm not crying, guys. I think I might just end the video here. Okay. So that was my moment of silence. We're gonna turn this video into a Jimmy Carter tribute. I'll make this video another day. Oh my God. Get out! Out! Out, boy, out! Sorry, that's my brother. He just had to come. So, yeah, we take a look. Okay. Well, my brother's ruined this video, so. Okay, so unfortunately, he passed away today. He made it to just over 100 years old. Um, so we see here Jimmy Carter, he was the 39th president of the United States and he served for the Democratic Party. So we take a look at the history. Are texting me right now. Maybe I should add him onto this call. Oh my God, my brother will not stop. This is not a very good tribute. So guys, why am I upset? Like I'm not even upset my video got ruined. I'm upset he died. He was such a good person. So this was his electoral map. We see before, after Nixon, Watergate, everything. Carter, he won the election. He won his election by deep charging the deep South. Like if we take a look at this map versus 2024, we see the South is a lot more blue, the West is a lot more red, and the Midwest a bit pretty much as competitive as it is now. So Midwest a lot more people, the South a lot less people, and then the West also a lot similar-ish amount of people. So his home state was Georgia, and he won every single county in the state of Georgia. This was the last time any, this is the last time. someone was able to carry every single county in the state of Georgia. Guys, I feel like one of those people who broadcast their sadness on the internet. I'm not trying to. I'm just actually like this was not scripted at all. I just found out right now, but this isn't about me. This is about him. And I'm gonna keep this because why not? So we see 76th governor of Georgia, and he was the longest lived president in the United States history. And he lived to 100 years. So at least he died. But he died at 100 years old. And he was born in Georgia and he went to the military, Navy, and he supported the growing civil rights movement and became an activist in the Democratic Party. It's weird because we saw the shift in the South, right? We saw the Southern shift from what's we saw this shift from 1976 to the next time a Democrat would win the presidency to a competitive-ish South. And then we saw that go to a pretty much deep red South. We saw the deep red South. And that South only got redder and redder. With Georgia is the only state that voted for a Democrat. And even then, well, Florida and Georgia, but Florida's now a safe state for Republicans, basically. So he had a peanut growing business. And he won the Democratic nomination and defeated the incumbent. And then some of the things he did in his presidency, he pardoned all Vietnam draft evaders on his second day in office. And so we see this. He established the United States Department of Energy and he established the Department of Education, which Donald Trump is not getting rid of. So kind of ironic that he goes into the presidency with Jimmy Carter dead. So he's the only president to serve full time without appointing a justice to the Supreme Court. That's pretty interesting, actually. And obviously, we saw the Iranian hostage crisis. This was the Iranian hostage crisis. This was at the end of his term, starting to Reagan's term. I might need to fact check this, but apparently it was Carter and Reagan together. They actually helped solve the crisis. Just Carter doesn't get much credit for it. So we see the Nicaraguan Revolution, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. This happened. Start end of his term, and then we saw the Summer Olympics in Moscow. So we see all this. So in the primary, he defeated Ted Kennedy by a pretty decent amount, actually. He got over 50% of the vote. And so we take a look at his history. He attended Plains High School. He blew up in Plains, and he had been pretty impoverished by the Great Depression, but that with the New Deal had gone a bit better. And then he attended the United States Naval Academy, and he served in the Navy during World War II, I believe. And then he served as a Georgia state senator. He favored racial tolerance, but he kept those feelings to himself to avoid making enemies, which if you think about it, so during this time, we had seen a lot more support for example, we've seen the South, like the South, we saw Wallace, who I'm pretty sure Wallace was a pro-Southern segregationist. So we saw Carter, he won the deep South pretty decently. Um, so he became a JFK supporter, and then we saw his gubernatorial races in Georgia. He won, I believe. So this was a 1996 race. He did not win because he wasn't on the ticket. Jimmy Carter, he won his first race pretty convincingly. It's ironic. Atlanta voted for Republicans, but the rest of the like deep like state voted for the Democrats, which I find really ironic. And then he only served one term in Georgia. So he met Martin Luther King Sr. And then we take a look, he was Georgia. And then he declared the reign for racial discrimination was over because he might have not been known as the best president, but he was a very like noble person, I would say. So we take a look. he was a huge civil rightist, very much wanted civil rights, and he won the Iowa caucus, the New Hampshire primary, and then he chose Walter Mondale. Walter Mondale, he had also died recently. He died, I don't know if it was recently, he died 3 years ago. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years. Well, I guess Jimmy Carter died too, so that marks the end of that administration. And then we see the election. It was decently close. We take a look at the election. Had Gerald Ford just won, if he had won, if he won, wait, hang on. If he had won Ohio, he would have been very close, just a few electoral votes off, and then he would have just needed to win either Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New York, or Texas, and Ford would have won the election. A very, very close election. The black vote, very crucial for Carter. This is why he won, because once again, the civil rights laws he passed, huge, huge importance. Obviously, the Iranian hostage crisis happened. His presidency, he had a time of continuing inflation, regulation, an energy crisis, a government shutdown, Panama Canal, the 1980 election with the Iranian hostage crisis. So overall, his presidency, it's not viewed very favorably, but overall as a person, he very much is viewed pretty favorably. And then post presidency, huge part of diplomacy. He was diplomatic in the Middle East. He had a meeting. Bill Clinton sought assistance in a North Korea peace mission with Kim Il Sung. He visited Taiwan. He wanted to hold elections in Venezuela, and we saw so he's a Gaza. If I feel like if he was alive right now, which I mean, considering he was alive quite literally like 30 minutes ago, he had elections in Venezuela. He stated disagreement with Gaza, the West Bank. He joined Nelson Mandela. He met with Assad, the Assad regime, and he came with the pledge not to critique the Reagan administration. And he actually sided out with Reagan with neutron arms after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. I don't know what a neutron arm is. I'm gonna look that up. Oh, a neutron bomb. Okay. The Sabra massacres. So he agreed with some things. He agreed with a little less things. So so Carter did not have a very good relationship with Bill Clinton, yet he had a decent relationship with Gerald Ford, and then he doubted, yeah, because who snubbed him from his inauguration ceremony, and then also with Monica Lewinsky, and he was very disappointed with 2001, almost everything, but with the September 11 attacks, only praise, and he calls for American support Bush with complete unity. This is an example of bipartisanship. We don't see very much of this nowadays, but back then, huge amounts of bipartisanship. And we see a lot. He's praising Republicans, voicing his disagreement with Democrats. We see all of this during Donald Trump. He spoke favorably for the chance of immigration reform, and he did criticize Trump for his handling of the national anthem protests. So we see genuinely, like, with Donald Trump, a lot of people tend not to like him, but Jimmy Carter, he was at least decent with him. We saw he knew the media was very much against Trump, and then he endorsed Gore. He endorsed, hang on. So he campaigned for Clinton. He endorsed Gore. He endorsed Kerry. Carter criticized the Republican nominee, and Carter did warn Obama against selecting Clinton for his nominee. We and meant got Joe Biden. So, however, he did endorse Mitt Romney, but that was for a Republican nomination, and his backing was considering he was a Republican Massachusetts governor, and that could best assure a victory for Barack Obama. That kind of is kind of a funny and twisted reason why, but overall, he was critical of Donald Trump, and he said, however, he did prefer Trump to Ted Cruz, and he believed that Trump would not have been elected without Russia, and that he didn't win the election in 2016. But Carter did believe he voted for Sanders, so that might have been a bit why. And then Jimmy Carter did denounce the attacks of January 6th, and we see Carter's son Chip said his father wanted to live to 100 to vote for Kamala Harris. Unfortunately for him, she did not win or the state of Georgia. So at least he did get a vote though, so that was good. I'm gonna skim through the rest of this. He founded the Carter Center, a non-governmental, nonprofit organization for advancing human rights. This is a huge reason why a lot of people think he's a great individual just because of like this, which nonprofit. It was a nonprofit organization. He he wants to bring peace, which a lot of people, everyone really wants to bring peace. No one wants to have to fight war. And then we see he's a evangelical Christian, which we see here. He then left and said, "This is why Democrats leave the party." So we see he had surgery. He had surgery. This is 2015. He had surgery, so 9 years ago, to remove had a liver surgery, and then he has cancer. Well, no, he didn't have cancer. His entire family had cancer, and then he broke his hip and had a black eye. And if we take a look, he had to have a series of hospital stays. And 100 years old, he was the longest living United States former president. He had been the earliest serving living former president since Gerald Ford's death, and he surpassed Herbert Hoover as the longest retired president. Carter became the first president elected at the 40th anniversary of his inauguration, and he became the oldest president to live to go through an inauguration. Carter turned 100 on October 1st, 2024, and Carter made arrangements to be buried at his home at 2009 Woodland Drive, and Carter asked President Biden to deliver his eulogy. And December 29th, 2024, so that was today, Carter's son announced his death after being diagnosed with myeloma, and that metastasized to his brain and liver. I told you guys before, I'm I wasn't feeling so good earlier, and I'm clearly after this it's kind of a very very sad moment. So we see he had a very high approval rating, but then it fell. You see all of this. So goodbye, Jimmy Carter. You will be missed.